he's just obviously trying to finish this thing off. And, it's unfortunate for him. He just fell. I mean, let's just keep it at that. What it did do was give Eli the points lead. That's why I was really interested in that Eli chose that tire, because it was that slippery out there. So I'm stewed because I can't put any other rider on this list. What's up, guys? It's your boy James Stewart. We back. The Rewind Show, baby. We here at round 7 at Millville, Minnesota. Lake Minnetonka, RD5, fresh cup of Joe, his hometown. But we're going to get into it. A lot of stuff that happened. Big weekend. You had 2 guys battling in both classes, but ultimately, only one of them's going to get a neck burn. So let's find out together. Round 7, Millville, Minnesota. Let's get into it. Every time I've raced Millville, it's always been, really deep, really rutted. And I feel like the only time I raced Millville where it looked like this was in 2013. And I had a great battle with Trey Kennard, both motos.
Stewart gets it back. Oh, they touch. Wow. Stewart tries to run Kennard wide.
And it was the only time that when I look at this track, it was smoother. It was really high speed. The sand rollers, they were bigger than this, but they wasn't too much. Where sometimes you come here, those things, like you every lap, you're like, oh, here we go again. And so the track was more based on like how it looked in 2013 for me, where it was like, it was really sandy. It had like a sand top to it, but it was really hard packed. And like I said before, it makes it difficult trying to, pick out a tire, because it's important to get a start here. It's important to get starts at all tracks, but this particular track, you can lose a lot of time, because when you got fresh, clean air, you can ride your own lines. And as high speed as this track was, and then the fact that, off the start, you go down that long straightaway, everybody kind of bottles up, right before you get into those sand rollers, and then you have the sand rollers. You can go from the leader, you can be almost 15 seconds down in a quarter of a lap, depending on where you start, just from all the riders. So it's super important to get a start here. So I think when you watch Eli, and they talked about it on the broadcast about him picking that tire, was kind of shocking. And it was, in a sense. I don't know if he's been running that paddle scoop tire all year long, but to me, when I saw that and they mentioned it before the first moto, in my mind, what it told me was he knew where his bike was good, where his bike was bad. He knows how Chase rides. He knows this track, the layout. I think Eli knew that the start was probably the most critical part for him. Like, from watching practice, watching the, how Chase has been in certain parts of the tracks, all these tracks, that open part. I think he knew from practice and from history that he needed to get a start. He needed to be up there with Chase, because I think if he would allow Chase to get a whole shot, and he would have got maybe, let's say, start like he did first moto at Southwick, the track and making up that much time, I don't think he would have been able to caught Chase without making, mistakes and putting himself at risk. So I could be wrong, but if I'm in his situation, in his head, and I'm just knowing the facts, I would have chose that tire too. And I would have chose that tire for the start, to be really aggressive and make sure I get up there with the guy, especially if I knew the guy was good on this type of track. So that's what I was thinking that was happening, because the whole track, he's raced at this track a million times. And he knew, like, this track is a lot harder than it has been in the past. And he knows how slippery it is. Ask Ken Roczen. He knows how slippery. Ask Joey. Like, it's slippery out there. People sliding around donuts all day long out there. Look like a NASCAR after you got, one. So he knew that. So that particular tire wasn't that good for the rest of the track. But obviously he made it work. And for some reason, the first moto, it looked like he really struggled on that tire. Like, he was good off the start. And then he was sliding around a lot, the first moto. Like, he just didn't look like the bike was settled, had a lot of traction. So the second moto, I don't know if he ran the same tire or not, but it was a different, and that could be just because the track got a little bit rougher, got a little bit slower. And I think there was more things to bank off of on the first moto compared to the first moto. But nonetheless, he's riding on confidence, like just the belief that he has when he's making passes. Like, in the last couple weekends, I said, like, he looks like he's not worried. That was on full effect. And even though Chase probably should have won won this weekend, when you start looking at the whole, the way the things were set up and where he's good and where Eli's struggling, I think Chase probably should have won, but Eli wasn't having none of that. And that just shows I was more impressed about Eli this weekend, what he was able to do and hold Chase off than, Chase being close. But they both rode well. But ultimately, like, that's the difference between those two was confidence. Yeah, I know Chase went down the first moto. He was leading it. And then when you saw him, like, he caught Eli. He goes around him. Eli tries to fight a little bit, but Eli kind of knew, like, to be able to run Chase's pace, it was taking more risk than what he wanted to. Like, he did his best to try to stay there, and ultimately he was just hoping that since Chase was running that pace, he would end up doing what he ended up doing, was falling over. But Eli wasn't taking those chances. All the things I said, how when he was, when you watch Eli, the way he's riding around maybe certain weaknesses of the bike, this track was hard to do that because there was, 80% of the track was, really open and stuff. And where Eli was faster than Chase was more in those tighter parts of the track, but this track was pretty open. So Eli being straight up and down, going into the corners. Millville is all about, being smooth and almost like a road racing style track. You got to be up on the right side here to be on the left side here, and you just move back and forth. So obviously they're both really good at that. But when Chase got around Eli, you could tell he tried to fight with him, but it just wasn't happening. Eli wasn't just going to make that big mistake and let Chase gain a bunch of points. And they're both better than everybody else. They're clearly 1 and 2. And so I think it's just more about Eli being there and done this before and kind of knowing the situation and knowing that, winning all these races in a row. He just got the points lead. Chase has won one race, one overall this year. Eli's won, 4 or 5, something. He's won a lot. And he's got a 5-point lead. So Chase has been ultra consistent, and throwing away a race is not, you can't have that. So Eli knew, and ultimately, like, Chase ended up falling over again, and, he got it done. To me, when I watched this one, I don't think it was it wasn't like he was overriding, like some of the crashes. I mean, a lot of the crashes, like, you're like, all right, like, even the one he flipped up like a laundromat, folded up in Supercross, it wasn't an overriding one. And even the one he fell at Thunder Valley, it wasn't overriding, maybe lack of focus on the Thunder Valley. But this one, he comes down those hills and he's on the inside. And if with Millville, this track's actually really off camber. It's on the side of a mountain. And the way that track was and the angle that Chase was going in, it put him pretty much straight up and down in this corner. And if you watch, he was hitting those braking bumps. And I think hitting those braking bumps going down there didn't allow him to slow down as quick as he wanted to be able to catch that rut. And he goes to lean over, the berm blows away, and he falls over. So to me, the only part that you could be like, okay, maybe was he overriding or too aggressive was maybe going down the hill, but I don't even really see that. I just saw he got caught in a situation, the berm blew away because 39 other guys that went through the thing, and his angle and possibly not being able to slow down as quick as he wanted to because he jumped down that hill a little bit farther. Maybe that's what caused him to get in there with more momentum, but he just fell. I mean, let's just keep it at that. What it did do was give Eli the points lead. So it wasn't the crash. It wasn't that he was overriding. It was the fact that, like, for the first time in a month, at least a month, I would say that he actually caught past Eli and was going to beat Eli, like, straight up, and he fell on there. And I think for Chase, it's frustrating, but I don't know if he was the one after he fell at Thunder Valley. Like, you can tell he was mad. This one, I think he was upset that he threw it away, but I think the telling part was that he wasn't angry enough to where it was like, I did something like stupid, I just threw that away. He knew he fell and gave the lead away, but it wasn't like some crashes you do, you're just like, I mean, damn, like, it sucks. It's racing. And some crashes you do, you're like, dude, I'm an idiot on there. Like, you could have avoided that. This one, it could have happened to any of them. And so just unfortunate him, he lost the points lead. And then I think that started what you saw in the second motor with Eli, him being aggressive, because, again, like I said, you have a sense of, like, the way guys are, the confidence that the guys got. And I think Chase catching him and how the track was, I think it gave him a lot of confidence that he felt like for the first time in a while that he can just beat Eli. Eli sensed that, And that's why he was so aggressive that second moto, and and then wanted to get in front of him. So, unless he just made a mistake, fell over, lost the points lead. It was a bigger issue than just falling over. But it wasn't a overriding that he shouldn't have done that or whatever. Like some of the crashes, he just fell. I mean, these guys are going fast. People are falling all day long. I mean, Joey fell first lap. Ken fell multiple times. The German chocolate, he was slipping on bananas out there. Had a banana root beer float playing a Sunday. I don't know what it was, but guys are sliding out, and that just shows. That's why I was really interested that Eli chose that tire, because it was that slippery out there. Like I said, there was NASCAR donuts going on, but he made it work, and he got it done. What I did notice about Eli this weekend, that his bike, remember I talked about the wallow feeling, the wallowy. I noticed his bike was like that more this weekend, and I don't know if it was, I know what it was from. It was track. The track was a lot faster than the last couple races and stuff. But I noticed right before the finish line, if you saw him, Eli, there was times where he would charge down there, get the bike to settle down, actually compress, and he was bunny hopping over those bumps and not try to hit the braking bumps going down. Because anywhere where it was straight downhill and he was charging, he was a little suspect. But he was doing a good job at doing that. But by doing that, bunny hopping, it was also putting him in those next braking bumps pretty fast. And I just noticed when he was trying to get on the brakes, the thing with it was popping up and kicking out the wallowy. Then when he hits that corner and he gets on the gas, if you watch his rear end, you notice it was like he was doing this number, a lot. It was moving around. And that's that wallowy kind of feel I was talking about. And not only is it, that part wasn't that bad, it wasn't that sketchy when he was on the gas, but the wallowy feel is, or it gets sketchy, is after you pass the mechanics area and you start going into that next, that high speed thing. And, that's where Eli was really trying to be straight up and down as he was charging into that, just like Southwick. The only other place that I saw that when I'm watching it, it looked like it could be any moment type was when he was jumping into that sand roller, those sand whoops. And what Eli started doing, if you notice, he was they were kind of tripling into this thing. But what he started doing was 2.5, and he was coming up short. So he wasn't getting into that actually goalie. And you would think, all right, you want to get into it because it's smoother. He was actually jumping halfway there. So what he was doing was bouncing off that last one and almost lifting the bike up and being able to power through the rest instead of dropping into that sand roller. Well, what happens when you drop into it, if you have a bike that's too soft or a bike that wallows, you risk the chance of that thing knifing. If it knifes right there, it's game over, lights out. So he was doing that, and there was a couple moments in the first motor where he was dropping into that, and it just looked sketchy. So he changed it, and he was able to come up a little bit short. Chase caught onto that. I think a couple guys, Jet was doing it in the 250 class. And what that also allowed you to do, not only just for the bike and keeping the thing from ripping out of your hands, it actually kept your momentum going. So the way these sand rollers work was you want to keep the front end light, obviously, but you don't want to actually drop in the middle of it. You think you want to kind of get a rhythm, being smooth in there. What Eli was doing by allowing it to come up short was allowing him to keep the rear end on the ground. And what you want to do in these sand rollers, it's almost like you're wheeling, but the back wheel never comes off the ground. If you watch Jet, Eli, when they got a good run, even Chase, anybody got a good run, what you see is their front wheel coming up and is basically lifting in between the rollers, but the rear wheel never comes off the ground. It follows, when I mean never comes off the ground, it never comes off. They keep the bike where it's driving all the way through the whoops. So the difference is when you watch another guy going through the sand rollers, if their back tire came off at all, they lost a lot of time. If they were able to kind of wheelie and keep the front end up and driving through and the back tire stayed on the ground all the way through it, at least until that little nook in there, those guys were fast. And that's how you made this whole sand section work. Even back in my day, the way to get through those things was be able to keep the rear end on the ground the whole time. And anytime it came off, you just lost a lot of speed. And how long they were, when you lost that speed, it carried maybe a mile an hour in the beginning, ended up 5 in the end. And the difference of how much time you can gain and lose was right there. So I remember back in 2013 when I passed Justin, I maybe passed even Mr. Artie Coffee, Trey. I was really good in that section, and it was the same thing. I was actually going wide in the first part of that moto and basically straightening up and just driving through that sand section. And again, this was a little bit, back then they were a little bit bigger, but the same concept. I was trying to keep the rear end on the ground, not lifting up. And it's just a cool part as a fan. Just pay attention to that. And it kind of show you how to ride sand rollers. And you can see the difference between guys when they're racing each other on how that rear end looks and how much speed they can carry through that whole section. And going back to Supercross, remember I said like the difference between guys that win, guys that's like 5th, 10th place, like the hustle. Ken was definitely when the first moto when they didn't show it, but they got a video of it where he hot sides off that thing. He definitely wasn't in a rush to get up. Now, granted, it is a blind jump, and those guys really can't see him. But you know, usually when a guy's in a rush, they get like like throwing it out. And he was just chilling. I mean, he knew. Ken is in a situation that he's in a situation, and if whatever that means he's in a bad situation mentally. And when you sent me this video, I said like those two crashes aren't surprising that they happen. Like, I mean, Savachi crashed, a bunch of guys crashed out to that finish line, slipperiness, and even the one where he goes and where he loses it on the first moto where they didn't show it on TV. Now, I can see that. I mean, it happens. It's the fact that who it happened to is surprising. I was surprised that Ken had two crashes like this. Ken doesn't really ever crash, fall over and whatnot, but the two crashes were like damn, like Ken on there. And the first one or the second one after the finish line, I mean, those are the ones you're like, all right, or bam! Like, dude got body slammed. When you see a guy like adjusting his goggles after he's getting up, he means he just got rocked on there. He ain't hit his head, he just got rocked. Things just happen. You gotta fix the vision, like what just happened. And so it was just shocking that Ken got, like, those are the ones that you come out the corner and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna just have a little slide out, and the thing just hooks up. The Dunlops were hooking up and they just smacked you on there. Weird looking crash, just flipped over there. So it's just tough. And then the second one, he goes off there, does a scrub. I don't know if he slid off the jump or maybe there was a little bit of ruts, but obviously he got awkward. And everybody was kind of scrubbing off that because you were going uphill. But the thing that you didn't want to do was you couldn't scrub too much because if going uphill when the second jump's bigger, scrubbing stays low. So you don't really want to try to do that. You don't want to go into the next phase. So obviously he scrubs. And it's the same thing that happened to Chase when I was saying, like, when he fell at Thunder Valley, that split second where he got in that weird, like, awkwardness, that free zone. It's the same thing that happened with Ken right here. If you look when he goes to scrub, there's a point where that bike it's free. There's nothing he can do. Like, it's not even, he's along for the ride. All he can do is wait for that thing to hit. And that's when the scrub goes bad. It's like you go to scrub and it gets past this awkward spot. And you're just like, okay, here we go. It's like when you whip it and, for some of those amateurs out there, you're like, all right, throw that whip and you're like, cool. And then there's a moment where that thing keeps going and you're like, I can't do anything. Well, that's what happened with Ken. And then obviously when that thing hit, he's going uphill with a lot of speed. He's off the back and it just slingshots him. So he was in a world of trouble as soon as he went to go scrub that thing. But it's not surprising. Those crashes happen. They happen. It's just who it happened to is the part where even in the past, you didn't see this, Ken might have races like he did last weekend or at Red Butt where he would be up there and you go back. But like the crashing is different. And that just tells me that, he's just obviously trying to finish this thing off. And, it's unfortunate for him. I'm not harping on him. It seems like we're always talking about him this weekend, but, it's hard to not talk about one of the greatest riders as, our sport's seen and most talented. And in any sport, when you have this going on, it's news. And, we can not talk about you. That means nobody really cares. The fact is we care here, so we bring it up. I just wanted him to get through it. And I just see this trend is starting to get to a point where it's I wouldn't say it's dangerous, but it's not just, okay, I'm just going to ride out and just finish 10th. It's like you're having these moments, and it sucks. It sucks. I've been there. It sucks. And, I would just say to Ken, like, if you start doing this, it's better off just stop than do this, because this gets you hurt. The going back, fading, whatever, like, dude, that's something that you can work on. But, this is lack of focus. This is other things going on. It's like you're in a zone where you want to try, you want to keep like going, but you're not all the way there. And that's when this stuff happens. And, one, you're too good for this. And two, like, nobody wants to see this. I'd rather you see you get 30th and be healthy than, just be in this situation. But, Ken knows. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir right here. Obviously, he posted this for a reason. What a great weekend. But, yeah, let's just hope it, like, this stops today. So there was an incident in practice where they showed, Eli trying to get to a fast lap time, and then Jason was in front. And their question was, like, was Jason, like, doing it on purpose? Yeah. I mean, yeah, he was. And you know how you could tell that? It's because he knew Eli was there. And, he would, when Eli got close to try to pass him, Jason would race him, stay in front of him. And then when Eli would back off, Jason would slow down, And then when Eli got back close, he would do the same thing. So 100%, it was on purpose. Why? I don't know. Like, there was back in Seattle when Chase got in Jason's way. Jason flipped out. He said, "I'm shooting everybody." And you know how he does. So I don't know if there was an incident that happened before. I gotta think that there was something that happened before they met. Like, maybe Jason was on his fast lap and Eli. What happened with Chase in Seattle, maybe that's what happened. Eli got in his way, because Eli's not that type to really play games with anybody. And even though, like, Jason's aggressive and, they all kind of get into it, there's no reason why he would do this. It's not like maybe if it was Chase and Eli, I could see psyche, points lead, trying to mess. But Jason's, 50,000 points back. He's just fighting for third at this point. So there was no reason for him to try to play that game with Jason, with Eli. So I'm assuming something else must have happened, or there's an incident, dating a girlfriend back in the day. I don't know what it was, but there was more to it than just him getting his way from the fast lap. So I'm sure one of you guys will tell me, but he was definitely playing with him. The reason why, I don't know. Don't really care, because at the end of the day, Eli went 1-1, and Eli doesn't care. But since we're bringing it up, there was a reason why. It's El Hombre. It's like Chips. You didn't expect somebody to get shot this weekend. Well, there it was almost. So that's what that. Yeah, the KTM setup was better this weekend. Yeah, the bike looked a little bit taller. It looked faster. And I think a part of that was obviously not only did Ryan base in, Lake Minnetonka, I think they dumped the whole bike in there. The bike was, or whatever you call it, what they do, they blessed it, baptized that bike. So it looked better, but yeah, that's it. Ain't really much to talk about, because there wasn't much to talk about. He was there. Christian Craig rode pretty good. He was there. There's a bunch of people there at the race, but, there was only like 2 guys really racing. So that was wrong. Now, you know what I mean? Now, I've been in those other guys' positions. A third, a fourth, a fifth is a third, a fourth, a fifth, no matter how you get it. But my mom asked me when I got here today, she was like, "Hey, like, how?" I'm surprised that Eli and Chase, like, how are they that much faster than everybody else? Like, way faster. And I told her, like, it's not that they're going that much faster, like they're 3 seconds a lot better, or whatever it is, the time. There was a big gap. It's not like they're that much better. But what they are doing is that there's only 2 guys racing for a championship. And every year, every class at the end of the year, there's usually the front runners, whether it's 1 guy, 2 guys, and you always see those 2 guys, no matter where they at the end of the year, they'll always be 1 and 2. Like the championship, they'll always fight each other. And so what you're watching right here, it's not that they're faster and they're better than everybody else, which they are faster and better than everybody else, but just because the lap time said, it's like their mentality and the way they race, they're racing for a goal. They're racing to win the Lucas Oil Motocross Championship. Like, they have a goal that they know that is all or nothing for this series. Where the other guys, they're like, look, I want to do good. I would love to win. But they're starting to think about testing. They're thinking about, okay, if I get hurt now, the off season, how that's going to affect us in Supercross. There's 2 guys out there, maybe 4 guys total in both classes, maybe like 3 with, Hunter going the other way, that are racing for this championship, that are racing to win this thing. And ultimately, between Chase and Eli, that's what you see. So they race from the gate drop to the checker flag. The other guys are racing. They're trying hard, but they're also like, oh, I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to risk the biscuit here. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to try to, do the best they can. But they also understand that, well, there's really nothing to fight for except for a podium and some bonus money. Where these guys are fighting, it's all or nothing. It's Trey Canard, James Stewart, 2013 Millville. It's all or nothing. And every series, every year, that's what you see. You'll see these two guys that just separates themselves from everybody else. And it's a mindset. It's every inch matters. And I think that's what you see. So that's what I told Mama this morning. It was like, they're not like 3 seconds better than everybody else on there. It's just the way they're racing and attacking the racetrack, and what they're trying to accomplish. Their mindset is 3 seconds, 4 seconds better than everybody else. And that's what you see. And that's why at the end of the race, you see that gap between those 2 and everybody else. And you're going to see that in the 250 class. And then more the year keeps going on, that gap's going to continue that way. And there might be, here and every once in a while, an El Hombre will pop up, a Dungey, and they might fight. But at the end of the day, it's going to be those 2, because that's all they're worried about. They're worried about racing each other. And, that's the result. So good racing. The last couple weeks, it's been blue. And I said last weekend, I was like, man, I had to wear a different shirt because, damn, Eli's winning a lot. I had a red one, and I thought maybe it was going to get close. I thought I was going to pop out of red, but I decided to wear my blue unicorn shirt. Why? Because I'm wearing a unicorn shirt. I don't know why I wear it, but I'm wearing it today, and it feels good. And it just felt good. Just like when, you maybe not at your best, and maybe you're not the fastest, even though the second motor would say you're the fastest, but you had to do some extra stuff, take some extra chances, keep diapers in the back of the bag to beat this guy. And you did that for one reason. And why you did that is because them neck burns, they feel good, don't they? They feel good. It just makes you feel good. I know Eli's been burnt. He was burnt in Supercross. He was black at one point. Well, he's starting to get that way. And why does he do it? Because he knows that, that red plate, even though he's been winning all these races, if the season ended today, Chase Sexton was going to be the champ until last Saturday. If the season ended today, Eli would be your Supercross champ and Motocross champ, and that's why he wanted to get it, and that's why he's going to get it this weekend. And the only way to get that is by hitting with it, Cole. Suntan, next on fire.
Then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
Got to get a neck burn to get that championship, and boy, he did it, and he's got 4 in a row. Dude's getting burnt. You see him after the race, like, ding, 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 ding. But he wasn't as excited as he was previously because he knows Sexy Sexton was there to fight. But nonetheless, it was Eli toe smacking everybody again, and he got it done. So that was that. That was the end of that class. I told you it was going to be Eli. Something else was going to happen, so maybe I was kind of wrong, but we're going to have to get into 250 class. But first, let's take a quick break, and we'll get into the Lawrence Show. So the 250 class, you asked me, we talked on Friday when I popped in your little feed on Friday. I said, what do you think? I said, it's going to be Eli toe smack, Chase, and Jet. Well, that's kind of the way it was. Now, I give Hunter credit. You can tell, he came with some kind of purpose. After last weekend, I think he sensed that red plate was heavy, whatever it was, he needed to fight back and fight it back with his brother. And he did that the first moto. And them little boys, they were aggressive. They were aggressive. Like I noticed at Mount Martin, when you went up there, Jet, jumped across some ruts and let Hunter know. And then, before the mechanics there, Hunter went a little wide, trying to do it. Like, they were actually racing. It was cool to watch. Like, they were racing each other. Maybe that tension did get a little heated in the truck. Like maybe there was some tension in there. Especially after last weekend, Hunter might have been still carrying that style as Robinson, beating everybody up, brother or not. Well, he came out the first moto with a purpose. And he raced them, and who knows, but he actually had Jet, like, until he caught with those lappers. He might have had a chance on there. I still think Jet would have got him, though. Like, I don't know, just the difference of him riding. It's like, when I'm watching Jet ride, like, with Hunter's, like, trying. It's like when I used to ride my boy Sorby, like, he would be doing everything. Like, when we practice, he'd be doing everything, like, dying trying. They actually think he got a chance to beat me. And I'm just like going back and I'm in the corners like, laughing. Well, not to say Jet's doing that, but that's what it looks like. Because it's style and it's smooth. It just seems like at any point, he could just catch and pass him. Like at any point, when he decides I'm going to pass him, that's what he can. And then you heard him after the second moto. He said he started thinking about getting ready for the 450 class.
And then I was thinking halfway through, maybe I should push, you just start the build for 450s, but...
Damn, I think he's racing East Coast, West Coast next year, 250. He's long-term thinking, so you can tell where his mindset is. But anyways, his brother, they were fighting. I think that hit him a little bit. Like, I think he was frustrated. He was hot. He was hot after that. Not last weekend hot, but he was pissed. And then the second moto, he gets a good start. Jet's, behind him. And, he's feeling like, okay, it's back again. The first moto almost had him. Lappers caused that. Second moto, I think I can get him. And then, damn, like they red flag it, and then he gets a bad start. That was the part where I was like, okay, what is going on? Because he started like top 10 and he stayed there. He went 10th, 9th, and he ends up getting 5th. But he was almost a minute back. And I know, like, in the last couple laps, you can cruise it around. But, I mean, for a guy that's fighting for a championship, fighting his brother, that's tough. But I also think we got to hold the brakes on that. And I think Hunter always needs to remember this too. It's perspective. When you start getting caught up in this thing and you start having a chance to win and win for a championship, that's a good thing. But you also got to remember how you got here. And in the last couple of years, like, you've been building. Remember when the Supercross season started, you were talking about, like, it was about just being back healthy. Then you won a race. And then it was like, okay, maybe I can try. I expect podiums. And then you finish off Supercross strong, and then you get in the outdoors, and then you've been hurt the last few years. So perspective would say you should be positive. You should be happy. You just caught in the moment right now, which makes you like angry because you're a racer and you want to win. But the kid's doing good, and the kid's like building and trending back to where he should be at. I still don't think he's 100%. I still think, as this year goes on, like he's catching his brother at 100%. But, history says it takes a while to fully get back and invested to like believe in and not worrying about anything, crashes, anything happen, all the negatives, they go away. So the fact is he's doing good. And, sometimes you have to keep it in perspective because I think right now it's more of a mindset. That second moto, more of a mindset. It's kind of like, if you're always winning a race, you go down. If you're only here to win the race, once you don't have a chance to win, it's hard to race forward. And I think that's what we saw this weekend. The second moto was like, hear him say he got tired and hear him just being back and that far back. I think he was just so focused on demoralized, losing the first moto because of lappers, and the second moto, a whole shot, and then maybe having a chance to win, red flag, and then this happened. And so, just reset, go back, and then fight your brother because he whooping the ass right now. Jetpack's on fire. And you know what happens with this. You know what happens, people. Dude's on fire. He's won like 6 out of 7 of them, I believe, this year. He's won a lot of them. I don't know. Lawrence won. They won all of them. And he's, besides his bike, smoking because he was too hot for people. He was too hot. Blew his own bike up. He's been the best. And he's been on fire. And you know what happens. You throw a little jet fuel on a little flame. You know what you get? You get it. Hit it for him, Cole. I know.
Suntan. Next on fire.
I know this mother didn't just hit me with one of those.
No, okay. That I just thought, I looked over and I thought my finger was on the right one.
No, man, anyways, people, we'll be right back. We students too, because I'm fucking pissed. All right, guys, you know what time it is. My favorite time, your favorite time. Hell, all of us favorite time. Favorite time because, you end up on this list. Sometimes maybe not on the other side, but you're on this list. So that means it's a good thing either way, even if it's a good or bad thing. So we're going to hit them with the first one. Easy. A stew. Stud. Now, there's all kind of ways you can be studs. I mean, you can be a stud that's holding up a house. Stud to keep, picture frame on there. I don't know what kind of stud. But with this kind of stud, studs that win. Man, he rode good this weekend. That dude's a stud. You see how strong he was? He's a stew. So, of course, as we always say, a default. And I don't want to put these two guys in the category because I'm going to put them both in the same thing because they both did the same thing. They went 1-1 this weekend, and they've been doing it a lot lately. Mr. Eli Tomac and Jet Lawrence. Now, default stews usually become the guys that just, win the race. Hey. Photo, that girl on Instagram, that Uber driver, that sexy JS7. Well, you keep going down to my photos, all right. But, nonetheless, that default photo, just there because it's there. These guys ain't that. They're stews because they did it better than everybody else and they look better than everybody else. And I say they stupendous at what they did. So Jet Lawrence and Eli Tomac, of course y'all stews. It's easy. Now, with Chase, I'm even give him a stew for this one. Why? Because he fought. I think it's the first time Eli went into beast mode, looked like beast mode, and he got passed back. And it wasn't like he faded back. Eli ended up passing him back. But it was the fact that it's Chase, that's a stew to stop that alien. You stopped the alien from flying off. I know when Eli rode past you was like, oh man, this whatever, dude. I'm about to Colorado. Nah, bro. It must have been a new holiday, a new state, because he couldn't just keep it simple this weekend. Boy, Yamaha was kicking all over the place. Him bouncing, and Double D's effect wasn't looking like that. It was more like C cups to me. But, Chase was there fighting him, and he got it done. So that means you a stew, son. That means you a stew. You took it to the champ. And then everybody else, y'all all stews. I always say we all stews. You finished the race, even the guys that didn't finish the race, we all stews because we made it. So there's your stews. Chase Sexton for fighting back the alien, and Eli Tomac and, Jet Lawrence for doing what they always do. And that's all they do is win. Hit him for it, Cole.
Suntan, next on fire.
I just wanted to do that and see if he hit the right button this time. All I wanted to see. So maybe you get a, that's it. All right, people. Now the next one. Stu, pissed off. Pissed off because you in the zone and there it goes. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Pissed off because you in the zone. You're you need to start the thing over. Pissed off because this guy is making all these mistakes and that's costing all of us this great knowledge. When I get in the zone, people, when I get in the zone, I be talking. This dude keeps making me stop. And then I had this thing with Jet Lawrence talking about the jet fire pipe and all this. And he goes, wah, wah, wah. For what? Why? Because it was weak? Nah, because he hit the wrong button. So I'm stewed. Because I can't put any other rider on this list. We would say, is Chase sued because he crashed? No. He was up there. He was winning. He was taking it to the Eli, the alien, man. You got to be up there. You got to be winning to not win anymore. And he was winning. And he didn't make a bad mistake. He just made a mistake that ended up costing him the red plate. But nonetheless, it was just a mistake. What about, Hunter Lawrence? Should he be stewed? Nah, I don't even know, man. That I don't know. He's stewed about the lap race. He could be a little bit. Is he still pissed about Styles and what happened in Supercross? Yeah, possibly. I mean, he might be still fighting him over there. I think he was still throwing Vegemites, but I don't know, man. I think Jet, even though that, ever heard of that Jet fire and ice? I think Jet's so hot, man, he's freezing these other fools. So I don't even think he's that hot to be that stewed. So the only person on here that's stewed is me. And I know it's not normal, people. I know it's not. But today was a day full of mistakes. And it wasn't you. And it wasn't the guys on TV. It was this clown right here.
What about you and your phone going off mid?
Bro,
That's your phone. That's your phone. Put it on the carpet next time.
813. I don't even know who that is. Spam. Round 5. Oh, shit. See? I'm up. I was talking about Dungey. That's where the 5 came from. For round 7, Monster. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Rookie.
Oh my
moves.
gosh. I told you I was nervous. I don't know why I got nervous. Hold on. I'm back. Once Chase got around the what the
Take a sip.
Round 7. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. When I look at this show, it says one thing. It says Bubba's World. And this is my world. So in my world, I'm not wrong. You in my world. So you can't tell me in my world, it's okay for the phone to go off. It's okay for my phone. It just went, But like I said, if you wouldn't have stopped me before, I would have been done with that segment. So when my phone went off, we'd have been in a commercial break. So of course it's your fault in my world. That's just how things work out. So it's you again. You see how he's already interrupted me? Anyways, people, I'm just done with it. I'm getting really pissed now. I'm gonna get so pissed I might not even finish the show. It might be, hey, what's your first name? Larry. That's what's gonna happen. He keeps messing up like this. Hit that button again. It's gonna be Bobby. You ain't gonna be like, cool. What's your last name? I don't know, dude. I don't know. He flew back to wherever he from because he got fired. But we'll keep him on because he's all right. All right, people. That's round 7 up at Millville, Minnesota. Where again, you had the same thing that happened the last weekend and the weekend before that. Well, Jet did blow up the weekend before that, but it almost happened. But in the 450 class, Eli Tomac, dude's on fire. Chase tried stopping you, but still, you can't stop what's going to happen anyway. And that's that unstoppable force with Mr. Eli Tomac. That alien, just like this cool unicorn t-shirt. Why is it on there? Just because I got it. And when you got it, you get things that nobody else does. And I'm going to do it again. And one more time, hit it for him, Cole.
Suntan, neck's on fire.
Neck was on fire, Mr. Eli Tomac, Jet Lawrence. All right, people, I'll see you guys next weekend, next Tuesday. Where we at? Always back here. I don't even know where they're racing at. Where they racing at?
Washougal,
Washington. That might be another slippery track, just like this slippery track, just a different venue and a different thing. And I think we're on pace to pick up Mr. Alex Martin. We're going to stop by Seattle and pick him up on the way and get him back and send him on his way home into retirement. He rode pretty good this weekend. His brother did a good job on TV, so Martin was back in full. Good to see you, Alex, Jeremy. Good to see you back. People, we'll see you next weekend from Washougal, round 8, Lucas Oil Motocross. Until then, we'll see if Cole makes it. Bye.